Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to a rundown of 3 F1 news stories that have caught my eye over the last week. Kicking us off then, and Robert Kubica has said that he will feel more like a rookie than a race-winning veteran when he returns to the F1 grid this coming season. The pole will of course be teaming up with young rookie George Russell at Williams in 2019 after an 8-year absence from the sport, following his horrific rally crash in 2011 which left him with severe arm injuries. And because of such a long stint away from the sport, Kubica told Autosport that he would feel like a rookie in Australia, but did also admit that his previous experience could well give him the edge over Russell. In Australia, I am more like a rookie driver than one who has already done 5 seasons. The reason is because F1 has changed so much. F1 has always been changing, and if you compare the cars from the start of the 2000s to the end, they are completely different. I have to work hard and I'm looking forward to the challenge, but also I'm looking forward to finding the natural way of driving that I had in the past when you are in the car often, racing every 10 days or so. What is helping me is that I live this sport on such a high level, so I experience what it means to be an F1 driver and what it means to race against the top drivers. I hope that this experience will help me to achieve the levels which I would like to, and this is the goal. I read this story this morning and it just reminded me of how grounded Kubica is about the whole situation. He knows that it's going to be tough when he makes his full return and isn't getting too carried away. There are so many people out there who seem to think that he will rock up after 8 years away and smash those around him. And look, he may well, but we can't make that assumption based on what he achieved all those years ago. As Kubica has said himself, the sport is completely different now. I wanted to cover this story because I'm not convinced I'll be able to get the Kubica video done and out as I wanted to, although I will try. And so really wanted to give my thoughts on his return and what I expect from him in 2019. As I said at the time of his announcement, it's an incredible story and what a recovery he has made. I remember initially after his crash, the general consensus was that his F1 career was over. Yet, here we are. It's just incredible. When it comes to this season though, I think he will do well, but I don't think he will destroy Russell as some have predicted. I fully expect that the two of them will be very closely matched, and I'm really looking forward to the fight between them. The problem they both have, though, is Williams. I don't think they'll make a huge leap forward. I mean, I expect they will improve and be closer to the field than they were last year, but they're not going to be fighting for top 5 in the championship or anything stupid like that. So if Kubica can pick up a few points this year, get that car to the checkered flag consistently, and drive well, I reckon that will be seen as a solid return to the sport. Of course, I hope I'm wrong and Williams do deliver a good car, and I hope that that in turn gives Kubica and Russell the opportunity to show what they've got in 2019. Next up, and Pierre Gasly has sent a warning to new teammate Max Verstappen, insisting that he will not be playing second fiddle to the Dutchman in 2019. The Frenchman had an impressive first full season in F1, and when Daniel Ricciardo made his shock move to Renault, he was given the opportunity to step up to the main Red Bull team. There are those who expect Gasly to take a while to get up to speed and thus end up being the number 2 driver to Verstappen this season. However, the Frenchman wants to take on his new teammate and is determined to give it all he's got. Being one of the best drivers right now will be a great challenge for me. It will take some time for me to be competitive, but I am not here to be number 2 driver. That's not what I want or what I'm happy with. These things take some time, and Max is one of the fastest guys in the paddock, which is super exciting for me because it brings you to a higher level. For sure, I'll be better over the course of the season. If I have a car I can win with, I would like to. But if I have a car that is only good enough for the top 5, that will be the goal. This is one of the teammate battles I'm most looking forward to this coming season, and there are more than just a few to be excited about. Honestly, it's always exciting to see a driver get their chance with the top team, and I really do think Pierre Gasly will surprise. I just don't think he's going to be as well beaten by Max Verstappen as many seem to think he will be. Okay, yeah, I fully expect Max to come out on top at the end of the year, but not by a mile. As for the whole number 2 driver thing, I love that Gasly is determined to put Red Bull in a position where it could well be difficult to make that call. And you can't fault his ambition, really. However, I would be stunned if he wasn't used as a number 2, certainly in his first season with Red Bull. Let's say Honda give them an engine that is on a par with Renault, they could well find themselves in a similar position to the one they were in last season, sort of close to the top 2 teams consistently but not able to challenge on the big power tracks, so instead relying on tracks like Monaco, Singapore and Mexico for wins, for example. Therefore, they will need to maximise every race, and whilst he's finding his feet and getting up to speed, they will probably have to use Gasly to help Max out where it's needed. I hope he doesn't just end up as another number 2 driver, but I can't see him being on an equal footing with Verstappen straight away, and that's in terms of pace and status within the team. But again, don't expect him to get destroyed. I think he really will surprise a few this year. And finally, Sergio Perez has said that a year out for former teammate Esteban Ocon could well hurt him more than it will benefit him. As I'm sure everyone is fully aware by now, Ocon was replaced at Racing Point for 2019 by Lance Stroll, and after failing to land a seat elsewhere for this season, has had to take up the role of reserve driver at Mercedes and thus a year out of the sport, a sabbatical if you will. Not a bad place to be all in all, and many do expect that he will end up in that Mercedes for 2020 if Valtteri Bottas fails to deliver. However, when asked if a year out could hurt the Frenchman, Checo told motorsport.com, definitely, it can definitely hurt him more than it can benefit him. Formula One is evolving so much year by year. You never know what the future will hold. He's in a great position with Mercedes. He definitely deserves a seat in Formula One. He is one of the best drivers in this sport. But I think a year out of this can change so much. Maybe he comes back and drives for Mercedes, but you never know what the future will hold. So it is a risky move. I rate quite highly all my teammates. They are all different. But the one that I rate the most is Hülkenberg, and I think Esteban is there. He is in that group. I think he's lacking some maturity still, but I think that will come with the time. Look, I'm not going to start poring over how I think Ocon should be on the grid for 2019 over some of the current crop. I've done that plenty over recent weeks. Safe to say, to keep it short, I wasn't happy about the whole thing. But there are a couple of things I want to pick out from Checo's comments though. Firstly, he is absolutely spot on when he talks about how damaging a year out could potentially be. I've said this all along, yes, Ocon is still young and potentially has a long F1 career ahead of him. But not racing for a year is dangerous, particularly in his position. Another young Mercedes driver found himself without a seat recently and was put into a similar role at the team. There was also a lot of confidence that he would return. Do you remember Pascal Wehrlein? There is now also George Russell, another young driver from the Silver Arrows Academy. He will be racing in 2019, and if he impresses, that could well see Ocon dropping a spot in the queue. People might think his position is secure, but there are just no guarantees. The other part of his quote that caught my attention was his shot at Ocon's lack of maturity. I'm not going to say too much on this, but it's quite a fascinating line from someone who is perfectly comfortable running into his teammates despite multiple years of F1 experience. It will be very interesting to see if Checo has to address his own levels of maturity in 2019. I'm not sure Lawrence Stroll will be too keen on the Mexican running into the other driver at the team next season. That is it then for this week's rundown, and in the comments section down below, let me know your thoughts on any of the stories featured. What are you expecting from Robert Kubica in 2019? Do you think that Pierre Gasly will have to play second fiddle at Red Bull? And what do you believe the future holds for Esteban Ocon? Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but in the meantime, you can follow me over on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.